But bad for who she left behind.
Correct. And those two, like we've said, this is two people that like function.
Good
as a
evening. Welcome
team.
to the February board meeting, Lake Mills Area School District Board of Education meeting. I'm Rick Mason, president of the board. Our mission statement is, by providing an outstanding education, the Lake Mills Area School District inspires our students to be responsible citizens with integrity and lifelong learners in an ever-changing world. Could we rise and do the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ron Delaney. Here. Ron Imperial.
Here.
John Thomas.
Here.
Steve Topol. Richard Mason.
Here.
Eli Plummer.
Here.
Verification of meeting notice.
Yeah, it was in the paper, on the website, and posted where it's supposed to be.
Okay, any agenda revisions?
I have none.
Could I have approval, please?
Move approval of the agenda as printed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Community input. Do we have any?
James was, oops, I'm sorry, James, you were going to speak first, so go ahead and come on up.
James Topol, W5993 County Road T, Watertown address. I got a few questions here. I guess just listening a little bit ago to Mr. Mason with the mission statement there, it just made me think of something here. And something was said last meeting, and I guess my question is, with this mission statement to move forward and present an example for the kids and everything. I don't know how we can present an example when you got a few concerned parents being called vigilantes, first of all, here, and I don't think that's very professional or a very good example, especially coming from a person who's supposed to be leading our school system here. On another note, why, when there's 3 school board members that still have questions on the report of these exit interviews, why do they get intimidated and shut down by one person? And I guess there's another comment that comes to mind here. On the last month's meeting also was a comment about the teachers evaluating the parents. I guess I'd like to know more about what that is about. I don't understand what that was. I've heard that statement, and I'm questioning what was that about, I guess. And is this the way that we're supposed to be working together for the future of our children? And or are we even working together anymore, or just assuming one person knows best, I guess? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. Anyone else?
Lisa was going to go next.
Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Topol. My address W5993 County Road T, the Township of Watertown. I have a few things. First of all, this new online speech and language, this is not personal at all. It's online. There is no carryover into the classroom. How are we following the DPI standards and guidelines for carryover of speech skills within the regular education classroom to meet the Common Core standards when this is an online program? So I want to know how you're going to meet these guidelines for the kids and their IEPs to include that carryover into the classroom that they require. Second is the school calendar. I would like to address the school calendar again, just to clear up a few things for the whole school board from last month's meeting. As I was watching the rest of the meeting on TV, some of you asked, why is our district different with regards to the end of the school year than others? As I commented before last month, our school district goes a whole week longer, ending a week longer than all the other school districts that I previously mentioned at last month's meeting. A comment was made then asking why this is. Why are the schools, why is our school a week longer? And the comment was made back that many of the other schools in our area do not take a full week off for spring break, only a Monday and a Friday. Well, I'm here to tell you all that that comment is wrong. Reading again the schools, Waterloo, they have off a spring break March 30th through April 3rd. Johnson Creek, March 30th through April 3rd. Jefferson, March 30th through April 3rd. Watertown, March 30th through April 3rd. Deerfield, March 30th through April 3rd. Fort Atkinson, March 30th through April 3rd. Lake Mills, March 30th through April 3rd. Guess what? April 6th is the Monday. We have an in-service day. Why aren't the kids going back to school? They go back to school on the 7th. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, it's some dumb planning. Also, a comment was made about a survey. Survey is a great idea, an awesome idea, and should be considered. I realize that it might be too much work to do that for this year to survey the parents. The teachers also need to be surveyed. This is not just for the parents, this is also the teachers. Everyone within the school district. I highly recommend you put this on the agenda for next year to complete one. Other schools have done surveys regarding their school calendar, including all of the parents and all of the teachers. And they posted the results for everyone to see. That way the calendar is done with everyone's input and not just a chosen few. Next is also the exit interviews. I, of course, was upset with the comment that was made. I am a concerned parent. I am not a visual anti. Some of the words or terminology that was chosen may not have been what you chose the words to say, but yes, in my opinion, they came out of, they were your words. They were your terminology. If it was said, that's what you meant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
Melissa,
Please.
It's not easy coming up here and addressing the school board, just so everyone knows. At last month's meeting, the term vigilante and vigilante group was made by Dean Sanders in reference to those that ask questions at school board meetings. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the definition of vigilante is a person who is not a police officer, but who tries to catch and punish criminals, a member of a volunteer committee organized to suppress and punish crime, as when the process of law are viewed as inadequate, a self-appointed doer of justice. I was extremely disappointed that a member of our school district referred to parents bringing questions and concerns to your attention as vigilantes. I would have hoped that our school administrators and superintendent were just as concerned as parents about the number of teachers we lost. I am glad that exit interviews were finally conducted. I am glad there are going to be surveys for the teachers to complete. I wish the surveys would be done by an outside party and not by the teachers' direct superiors. I am also wondering about school board meetings in general. I am confused when during school board meetings when parents may ask questions. The agenda says public comment is for items not on the agenda, but when I tried to ask a question last month in regards to the new speech program, directly after Ms. Syverwood's report, I was told no by Dr. Mason. If someone could share with me how school board meetings are ran, I would appreciate it. Is it Robert rules or a version of Robert's rules? Another thing I'm having trouble understanding is why are some businesses/consultants the school district works with mentioned by name but not others. For example, the consultant for exit interviews was never named, always just referred to as a third-party consultant. Why is this? Is it because it was Jim Shaw, a Cape board member? Why was the local business that is handling the high school online scholarship program not named, just referred to as a local business? I also find it difficult to follow along without access to the handouts that are given to school board members at meetings. Can these handouts be made to those in attendance? Are they public documents since these are public meetings? How can we obtain them? I'm a concerned parent and taxpayer, not a vigilante. Now for my fun PTO information. We've had two really great events since we last met with you. January 16th, we held our first movie night. Mrs. Dahl secured the movie license, and the school paid for the license. The PTO handled the advertising and organizing of the event. This is a great joint effort between LMES and the PTO. Approximately 250 people attended the event. The kids and parents all had a great time. This past Friday, February 6th, The PTO brought to the students of LMES the 4th-ranked children's museum in the nation, the Rockford Discovery Center. There were 3 assemblies of chemistry during the school day. We did this so each child would have the opportunity to attend. Grades 1 and 2 were together, 3 and 4 together, and the last assembly was with kindergarten. These assemblies were simply amazing. The kids were laughing, interacting, and learning a love for science. One young boy told me as he was walking out of the assembly, it was the best day of his life. In the evening, the PTO offered the STEM night, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. This was done jointly with the Rockford Discovery Center. They provide 10 hands-on science stations, and the PTO provides the volunteers. It was a wonderful event as well. We had over 350 people approximately attending. I'd like to thank the teachers and Mrs. Thompson for allowing us the opportunity to bring an assembly like we did to the students during school hours. It was wonderful. It brought science to life for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name, address?
Hi, I'm Sandy Whistler, 303 Moss Street, Lake Mills, and I am here as the president of Citizen Advocates for Public Education, CAPE, inviting the school board to participate in a forum later on in April. In the past, we conducted a forum prior to the school board election, but this year, because we have 2 candidates for 2 seats, we didn't feel that this was the time to do a school board forum. And it was suggested to us that we provide time for a forum in which we could hear from you as school board members. What are the strengths of our district? What are the challenges that we face? And what are the obstacles to overcoming those challenges? So I am here tonight to invite you to participate in that forum. The suggestion was made that it be held on the night that you have your reorganization meeting, since that would be a regularly scheduled meeting. We have in mind holding the forum for about an hour to an hour and a half. We would like to hear from you what, again, as I said, what your concerns are. We'd like to hear from the public what their concerns are. And we'd like to look at the bigger issues that face our district with all of the things going on in public education right now, locally and statewide. You know, we'd like to have a chance to hear from you. What are the big obstacles that you're facing, and what are the issues, and how do you perceive dealing with them? So I come to you tonight to invite you to participate in that forum.
Okay. What's the date on that again?
You haven't said it.
We haven't said it.
Okay? So please keep
What
that
is
in
it?
mind.
April
and-
7th?
No, it's.
We haven't
the
said it yet.
reorganization meeting, you have
Yeah.
not set that date yet. Usually you do that in March.
Okay. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, consent agenda. Minutes of January 12th regular and executive session meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the January 12, 2015 regular and executive session meeting.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the January 12th meeting, regular and executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Vouchers and invoices, treasurer's report.
Move to approve the vouchers and invoices in the amount of $1,077,482.37 for the month of January, and the treasurer's report for January 2015.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the vouchers and invoices and the treasurer's report. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Bill Delaney. Aye. Bob Imperial.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Reports, administrative reports, Mrs. Siverud.
Good evening. It's been a busy month in the world of special education, getting the speech therapy services started again. We've been working with Presence Learning to deliver services through teletherapy, which is an online service that the therapist sits on the other side of the computer to deliver personalized services to the students through the computer. So far, the reports that I've gotten from students are that this has been pretty successful. We are still looking for a speech therapist. That position is still posted. It's not like we're giving up, but at this time we were unable to find somebody to fill that. Very actively looking. We have somebody who is working on, after they went into retirement in 2009, is looking at getting their license reactivated to join us yet this spring part-time to work with some of the students that teletherapy does not work for, or to help deliver some of the compensatory services. So like we promised, we are still searching for a speech therapist. Likewise, our psychologist position at the middle school and the high school, we are actively searching for that. This Friday, Pam and I are going to attend a psych job fair that is just for psychologists to attend while they are at their psychologist conference in the Dells. So that's another position that we are continuing to look for to fill. That's all I have.
Questions?
Where is the other human being in this telepresence, telepractice?
Sure, she's actually lives in Iowa,
Okay.
but she delivered services. I'm going to goof this up. It's a little town right by Platteville that starts with an L. She's actually a licensed Wisconsin therapist.
In Wisconsin. Okay.
Yep, she's got to be licensed in order for her to work for us. So it's working that way. And we do have a paraeducator that sits with the students, makes sure that they're supervised, makes sure that there's someone making sure that the services are working. And that's been, we're working some of the bugs out with that, but it's actually been going pretty good.
And have you talked to the parents? Have the parents had a chance to kind of comment on how they think it's going?
They haven't. Some of them have come in and seen how it's going, and a lot of times once they see what's going on, they've been a little bit more relieved about what they see because they see the interaction between the therapist and the students directly, which is very helpful. They're also able to set it up. We have to work this out because there is some confidentiality issues. Because kids go in twos to speech therapy, parents can only observe their child. They can't observe the other child. And so we have to work that out so that we need to know ahead of time, or the parent needs to give permission for the other parent needs to give permission for the parent to watch both children with the speech therapy. But there's, instead of coming in, the company actually suggests that there's a way for the parents to join them online, like from a remote computer, so that they can then see what's going on and they can hear everything. Because if you just observe, you're going to see your kid on headphones and you're not going to hear the interaction that's going on because you can't hear it out loud.
Okay.
So we're working that out because that's a little, first I just wanted to get the services started, and then next I'll work on the making sure everybody can see what's going on.
Thank you.
Okay?
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Thompson.
Good evening. I also wanted to comment on STEM Night and the assembly that we had that the PTO brought to us. It was a great success. Our kids really, their passion was ignited around science, and a lot of fun was had. We had chemistry during the school day, and then the treasure, kind of a treasure hunt theme in the evening where lots of people came out. So thank you, PTO, for providing that for our students. I also wanted to let the community know that we're having a food drive right now. The goal is to fill my office full of food to donate to the food pantry. So if you have any food items that you would like to donate, you could bring those to the school office or to your child's classroom. Then I wanted to show you tonight our green screen, or the eco screen. If you remember, in building our new school, there are a lot of features that are LEED, and we wanted to put those in a kiosk in our main hallway. As you've seen in the building, there's a big screen right in that main hallway, and it's a touch screen for students to be able to interact with. And the interface is also online, so I'm going to show that to you now. So all of the teachers have access to this in the classrooms on their smart boards. And this is the screen that you would see at the kiosk in the main hallway as well. So community members that are there for the rec department or other things that are happening in our school can see it, and our students can also access this screen. So the kiosk has many different features. Some of it is just outlining our building and the building process. I'm going to come down here. This is a slideshow, so different pictures that scroll continuously when the screen is up. We can check on the weather, so in the classrooms and again at the kiosk, you can see what the weather is for the week. An important feature is right down here, something that we're really proud of, is that our windows in the school are operable. So when it is time to, when it's the optimal temperature to open windows, this icon right here that's now red will turn green, and this window, which is now shut, will open. So this is something that the students and the teachers can monitor in the classroom once spring rolls around to see when we can open the windows to be the most energy efficient to bring in some fresh air. There are different resources here. We have virtual tours that visitors can take. We have the eco features, which brings up a picture of our school. And then if you click on the leaves, it tells you about that eco feature. We can go over here, and this is the solar thermal hot water system, and it gives a little blurb about what each of those features are. There's the alternate transport, so not only the features within the building that are so important to LEAD, but also the health benefits of our community and wellness programming. We have the LEAD features here, and what this is telling us is we're striving for LEED Silver, but we'll have to keep checking back to find the final results of that. All of these icons down here give you the updated information about the usage of different resources within the building. So I just clicked on the water usage, and it brings up a graph. So you can see what the current water demand is. You have the dates across the top. So students and community members, we can use this as an educational tool to look for different trends with the different resources that we're using within our building. You can change the date range over here, and you can change the type of graph as well. So a lot of great resources for our environmental education program and helping our students learn from the building that they use every day. We have our Going Green videos that our students made last year during the building, while we were building the school. And we have the construction time-lapse video also. So a great resource for not only our students within the building, but community members can access this on our website. So if you go to the elementary page, and on the left-hand side, you'll see Eco Screen. Click on that, and you can get all of this information. Any questions?
Very neat.
Thank you. I should say, too, before I go, Teresa Lehman from Myron Construction, Chris Zerniak, our IT director, and Automated Logic are really the brains behind all of this and did so much work behind the scenes to get all of this up and running for us. So I thank them.
All right. It's almost done.
Yeah. We built it again. All right, thank you. Ms. Nicholson?
Hi, good evening. I often report on some different activities going on in the middle school. Tonight I'd like to focus on some things that have just been going on just naturally that our students take care of. One of the things in my professional goal was to get feedback from a variety of community members on what is going on in our school, just come in and observe. So I had somebody come in the other day and comment about the compassion in our school, and it just reminded me about all the things that I do that the students do that are so compassionate. I'm so proud of them. Just a couple of them: Pennies for Patients, which raises money for leukemia. Our student council runs that, but all students participate. Raised $3,100. Our Sensi fund, which goes to our PTO, but we use to purchase books. Again, this year raised over $2,000. The American Family Insurance is sponsoring something called the Kindness Revolution, and they donated all of these rubber wristbands, and when the teachers see somebody doing something good, they give them this rubber wristband that says, you know, like, be good or be good to one another or whatever. But the trick of the program is that the students then can give it to other students. They take off their wristbands when they see another student doing something good and give it to another student. Pretty cool program. And then our 6th grade students, if you read in the paper, last year they raised money to dig a well in Africa as 5th graders. Last year they came to me because they wanted to do something on breast cancer. And then at the beginning of this year said, no, we changed our mind. We're seeing a need for our students with mental health issues that go to Rogers Clinic. So they are well on their way. I think they're at like $1,200 or something to raise for Rogers Clinic in Oconomowoc. 4 girls who do it all on their own. They figure it out. They come to me with basic questions, and I direct them. Like I said, well, you have to find somebody to sponsor you. They're 11 years old, and they go teacher to teacher. Some teachers said no. Their lesson this year was you just keep trying. You just keep plugging away until it gets done. So some really cool leadership there. On to more academic topics. And the other part of all of, we just got our winter map testing done, although it's not the most accurate because it's not a long enough time between fall and winter testing, everybody's showing amazing growth. My particular SLO is to see growth in reading. Average growth for 7th grade reading is 2 points per year. My goal was to support 7th grade reading so that they would grow 1 point above that, above the national average, which is quite a lofty goal. So that would be 3 points. I would want to see the 7th graders grow 3 points. And right now, mid-year, they're at 2.62 average points. So they're well on their way. We should knock that goal out of the park. Any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Mrs. Strike?
Good evening. Well, we're at the high school, we're very involved in planning for next year. So we started our course selection process by having the future freshmen come in. The 8th graders came in, and they came in last Friday. They started with an activities fair, and then we spoke for a few minutes in the auditorium, and then we had the families travel throughout the school to all corners of the school and hear presentations from the teachers actually in their department. And so our student council members were very enthusiastic tour guides, and we just really had a great night. The energy in the building was great, and we've had many, many positive comments from students, from staff, and from teachers. So that was a great kickoff to the whole process. Meanwhile, at the high school, last Monday as well, our students, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, attended what we call teacher talks, where the teachers come and meet with each of the classes to talk about new offerings, things that they should be looking forward in the departments. And then we'll have course selection night next Monday, and that's when the families come in, they meet with us, and then they go throughout the gym to talk to teachers and sign up for their courses. We're going to try something a little bit different this year, and we're not going to have like freshmen come at this time, sophomores come at this time. We're just offering 3 time slots, and families can come in when it's ever convenient for them. And then we have parent-teacher conferences on February 26th. That is from noon to 8. We had an outstanding showing in the fall, so we're looking forward to that again. We just received our WKCE results for our 10th graders in science and social studies. We have teachers reviewing them as I speak, and we'll be sharing those with our families. And that brings us to our next round of testing. As you've heard, all of the juniors in the state of Wisconsin need to take the ACT test on March 3rd. So on March 3rd, we will only be having juniors come to school. The other kids need to be out of the building during that time, and they'll be taking the very formal ACT. Then on the next day, those same juniors need to take what's called the ACT Work Keys, which is another test that all the kids in the state of Wisconsin are going to be taking. And so then we'll have all of the students report at noon that day, the rest of the students. Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Chady?
Well, year-end W-2s and 1099s were completed last month, and hopefully you all received your W-2s. So, unbelievably, we're fielding lots of questions now from employees about their W-2s or how to access their W-2s if they elected to receive it online. Following last month's action here at the board table, you approved the Memorandum of Understanding with the Lake Mills Area Community Foundation. We did have one scholarship CD that matured in late January. So those proceeds were transitioned to the Community Foundation, and that was reported on in the Treasurer's report as well. We have a number of scholarships, I think 3 CDs that mature here this month. Next up was simply monitoring the state budget. Of course, that was released last week Tuesday, and have spent some time trying to winnow through that, trying to figure out what the implications are to the school district itself. While many in the media are reporting that public education funding is flat, it's really a decrease to the district. We're going to be losing $150 per pupil in categorical aid as per the governor's recommendation. That would amount to about $210,000 to $225,000 reduction for Lake Mills. Of course, that process still has to go through the legislature and the Joint Finance Committee, so there is hope that perhaps some of that money will return, but the irony is that really we're trying to fight for status quo, and there's no opportunity for growth. Buried deep within the governor's budget, there are a couple of other little items that have been discovered that impact public education. One of them is the closure of the Local Government Property Insurance Fund. That is a consortium where we hold or we are covered or insured for some of our property insurances. We did take that out to bid last year. The local government property insurance fund was the most economical for the district, provided good coverage at the least expense. So if that were to close through the budget process, that would require us to go out to the public market for our property insurances, and of course, that would come at an additional expense to the district. Also in the budget, governor's budget proposal is some changes to the workers' compensation fund and how that is administered. Quite honestly, we're not quite sure what the implications are for public education and for others that are covered by workers' comp. In all likelihood, it won't be good. Along with the budget, the governor's budget is the expansion of school choice and vouchers. So that, of course, provides for another opportunity for dollars to leave the district. While the governor is asking for an increase in general school aids across the state, the public school choice vouchers would come out of that aid pool. So thus, quite honestly, that burden of paying for that would be placed upon the local property taxpayer as well. So lots going on with the state budget. It is, the governor's proposal is less than a week old at present. There will be lots of changes to it going forward over the next couple of months. Dr. Mason, Mr. D'Imperio, Mr. Sanders and I attended an advocacy meeting with some area legislators and school districts this morning, and that's been going on a monthly basis, and that'll certainly continue throughout the budget process as well. So we'll use that as an opportunity to stay up to speed on what's happening in Madison and how the state budget will impact the Lake Mills Area School District. The last item I'll talk to you about briefly is just the refinancing of the middle school debt. As had been discussed at prior board meetings, there would likely be an opportunity to refinance that second issuance, the 2009 issuance of debt for the construction remodeling of the middle school. And the parameters resolution is in our packet here before you this evening. Basically, it provides, if we go forward with this, it would provide about a $20,000 savings each year over the 13 years remaining in the budget. Or, I'm sorry, in that debt schedule. So that would put potential savings over $200,000. Of course, we won't really know until we can lock in that rate. But again, we're asking the board to consider establishing that parameters resolution, much like we did October, I believe, when we did that first issuance. That's all I have for you this evening.
Any questions? Mr. Sanders?
Well, I was going to talk a little about the budget, but I won't get into it like that. WASB has a day at the Capitol in which school board members from the state meet, and then they get a chance to meet their state legislators. And one of the things is that it's a day, because it's set up the way it is, you will know that most of the people will be in their office. I just asked you if you wanted to go, to let me know so I could get you signed up. I know Dr. Mason has let me know, and myself and Mrs. Strike are going to go over. So if you want to go, please just call me or shoot me an email so I can get you registered. Calendar update. I appreciate the comments about surveying parents. I don't have a problem in the future in doing that. We do survey the teachers every year, so all the teachers have an opportunity to fill that out. And in the past, it's always been a negotiated item, so it was always between the teachers and the administration. I guess that's how I went on it this time. But if that's something that needs to change, then I will look forward to making that change, and we'll do what we need to do. In talking with that, you had told us to have one in-service day, leave the thing, and have one more day of school. And the staff that met and had met with other people talked about the May in-service day just being a school day. Because at that time, there are lots of field trips and other things that go on, and just being in school probably is as important as a teacher day. So that's what it will be. We have been the elementary school, and we don't know any final results on this, but I wanted you to know that the building itself has been nominated for a Green Ribbon National Award from the state of Wisconsin through the DPI, there's only been 2 buildings in Wisconsin that were nominated for this, or 2 districts or buildings, our elementary school and then the Middleton Cross Plains School District. We find out sometime in June, from what I understand, and then there will be a recognition dinner in October. Both districts will be invited because you're a finalist and sent on to the national award. So that part. I think the last thing on the budget, the one thing that people need to understand is if we're $225,000 short, they're not going to finish that budget till May or June, if then. And to catch up 225, to use a very interesting analogy, that's probably about 4 people. If you take salaries and benefits and all the things with it, to catch up to that. Now, I hope that we don't have to touch any people. But layoffs by state mandate have to be given in April. They're not going to finish the budget till June. So the hard part is, if you're going to balance without knowing you have to balance, do you do it on the backs of layoffs? And then you again force people to start looking for jobs. And so this is going to be a really hard one. It also is a really hard one because as a parent, I know that I want to keep class sizes small and I want to have as many professionals in the classroom as I can, and I want my child to get all of the things that they can get. And we were in pretty good shape till this thing came in. So $250,000 in a district this size is a lot of money. So it'll be interesting between now and the end of June where it goes. But again, we're going to try the best we can to recommend to you things that are not going to cost teachers and are not going to cost kids, people in the classroom. So that's where we'll go with that. That's all I got, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
I have a question for you. This WSB Day at the Capitol, why would that be better than meeting with these meetings you had like today? Would it be better for us to go to what you went to today than walk around up there with all those people? It sounds like this is a more kind of intimate group. And
Right.
do these legislators show up?
No.
No.
No, there was 9 invited, 2 showed up and 1 aide. Whereas at this day, I mean, they're
They'll be
basically
there.
all there.
I'll be there.
And so I think that's the difference. In all 3 of the meetings that we've had at Jefferson County, the first time there were 2 legislators, an aide and 1 legislator. Last month we had 3 and today we had 2. So, to be honest with you, the 3 that we've been getting represent the southern end of our group. We haven't had any of them from that represent Lake Mills, other than a little portion of our district, be there. So my thought is this is a way to go and maybe talk to these people about it's important to get there.
Having attended one of those in another district,
And one of what?
the day at the Capitol.
I've attended one of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
at the WASB Day at the Capitol, you also have their legislative aides providing you, with some of the talking points, and quite honestly, that's missing at the monthly thing.
Okay.
So,
And you can, at the monthly thing today, there were 35 people there. So your comments may never get to them unless you wait around afterwards and talk to them, whereas this time they're meeting with you face to face.
Although the good thing is that this monthly one, I'm assuming that you people have time to talk to each other. Do you? No?
No, it's more of a dialect with them.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, board reports. Mr. Primer.
So second semester started at the high school. Student council is doing some Valentine's Day activities by selling candygrams and some love match things we did through an online, or not an online, a mail-in company. As far as sports are concerned, over the weekend, wrestling hosted the conference tournament. Nate Warner and Andrew Quackenbush got second, and Austin Keach and I got third. The boys basketball team swept Lakeside for the first time since 2001. And on Friday, the girls basketball team beat Lodi in overtime. This Friday is FFA's Winter Formal Dance, and next week FFA's it's FFA week, and they're hosting different activities and having different dress-up days. Any questions? That's all I have.
Thank you. Facilities, Mr. Timperio.
Well, if you recall that several months ago, we approved a series of projects, construction remodeling projects here at the high school building. Our consultants, Epstein Ewan Architects, the Rettler Corporation, and our construction manager, the Meyer & Company, have been engaged in planning activities since that time. There is plans have been prepared. The documents will be going out for bid. We expect to have a bid opening, and of course, I wrote this date down and it's sitting on my desk at home, but it will be in late February, early March.
March 4th.
March 4th, to enable us to consider those bids at our March meeting. So that would be the expectation in terms of the scheduling. And once those bids are approved, long lead time items, especially with the mechanical systems, those items can be ordered to allow them to begin construction remodeling activities as soon as the buildings are available in this, with the close of school.
Good. Any questions? Thank you. WASP resolutions, convention report, Dr. Thomas?
Well, the convention is over and the resolutions assembly was held, and just to give you kind of a report on some of the general things that they supported was, of course, I think we all know that we're trying to get rid of the mandate for the September 1. So that was in a couple of resolutions. Another thing that was really important, not somewhat to us when we talk about speech and language and school psychologists, but I think we know there are other teaching areas that have shortages of teachers. And so the WSB is supporting in several of these resolutions alternative licensure for, like, tech ed is one, and speech and language and school psychologists. But what really kind of shocked me was that if you go to some of the smaller districts up north, they're even having difficulty finding classroom teachers. 4th grade teachers, 3rd grade teachers, which we don't ever really talk about because that doesn't seem to be an issue for us. More talk about the youth options program and also the open enrollment. All of these things are things we've talked about before. So, tighten up the laws there. One thing that doesn't affect us, but affects a fair amount of districts when you think of it, and that is when you have you border with other states in your school district, like when you get down to Cuba City and those that are just right there on the border. There's students that are opening and enrolling across the border to a school in another state, and the home district, the one in Wisconsin, is having to pay the tuition for that student to go there. So they want to get rid of that thing. One other thing some of us at this table will be interested in, and that's the rehiring Wisconsin Retirement System retirees. When it first started out, it was 30 days. Remember that? And then they upped it to 60 and maybe 75. I don't know. I think it's a 60-day where you got to have the 60-day break. Well, now the WASB supports legislation that would put it back to 30. So that's that. And another thing we don't have a lot to do with is teacher tenure. There are still districts in Milwaukee County that have tenure. And about having the legislature repeal the tenure law for those districts. Probably the last thing here that generated and took the most time, which was kind of hard to believe, and it was one of the thing that I voted against. As you all know, the platform of the WSB is local control. So what they wanted on this resolution was that we support making of legislation that would allow a school board member to serve as a volunteer coach or advisor of student extracurricular activities. Well, that conversation probably took an hour, where people were going back and forth. And of course, some districts were saying that they couldn't find people and things like that, so they should let the school board members do the coaching, volunteer to do that. And the legislature should make a law to that effect. Well, I was kind of on the side about local control, and we should leave it up to the districts if they wanted to do it and if they didn't want to do it. Well, eventually the vote came, and people supported a law to let school board members do volunteer coaching. So, and that was kind of the last resolution. And again, probably they just continued to hack on some of these same things that we talk about: teacher shortages, open enrollment, youth options, the start date, and almost all of the resolutions passed. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Administrative contracts. Last month, we met in executive session, the board only, and discussed all the administrators and the work that they do. And the board was pleased with their work and especially how well they work together as a group, as an administrative group. The board gives their full support to the administrators, and as a result offered them or issued contracts to them for the next year. So that was our the gist of our meeting. The awards? Award?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
We have one award.
We had it after the agenda, and it's just an award, so it's not something that has to be on there.
Okay. Do you want me to come up to the front? We can do it from here. We have an award from the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And it's a certificate of achievement by the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And it's awarded, it's a level 2. They have different levels of achievement. And it's to Mr. Robert D'Imperio.
Wow.
For commitment to children through continuous participation in WASP programs and activities. And it was dated Tuesday, October 28th. So we have this, and I assume a little pin or something.
Well, thank you very much,
Congratulations.
Dr. Mason. I appreciate that.
There.
That's great.
That comes with money, too.
All right, we're on to action items. Approval of high school facility study by Epstein Ewan Architects.
As we've talked about doing a little work in this building, we also want to talk about, is this building, where else does it maybe need work? Does it need updating? Does it need more rooms as the classes in the lower grades start to grow? And to get ahead of that, so we've asked the EUA to do a study of the building. And we did this at the elementary school, and we were in committee. And the report was about 1.5 inches thick, but it's pretty thorough. We are going to meet with EUA on Friday, if you pass this, to talk about what are we looking for. And then part of that study would be an appendix that says, okay, for a framework, what it would cost you if you were to do it new. So they will have both of those in there. But again, it would be after you approve it tonight that we would meet with them on Friday.
I'll move the board approve it. I move the board enter into a contract with Epstein Ewan Architects of Milwaukee to do a facility study for the high school building at a cost of $8,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve a contract with EUA. Any discussion? Comments?
It says here that the cost could go a little bit above $8,000 with reimbursables. Do we know
Yeah.
approximately how much? Or we
It
just-
won't be
is that a
very
small
much.
amount?
Yeah, and I would bet it doesn't come in at 8, because that's what they told us at the elementary school, and it came in at like 7,200 or something.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of the policies.
You had all these last month in a emailed to you. Open enrollment, because of the changes in it and the procedures, and then because of there's a new technical college scholarship, we had to add those two policies so that this year that scholarship will be named in March, but in the future it will be named in February because, again, it wasn't passed till January, so they wanted to give us time for this year. You all know that there is one for colleges, the university one. Now they're doing one for the technical college.
So I'd like to take those all together, if we can. 4 of them, so a motion, please.
I move the board approve the following policies. Policy 423, full-time public school open enrollment. Policy 423, rural, full-time public school open enrollment procedures. Policy 462, student awards and scholarships. Policy 462, rural, procedures for awarding the Wisconsin Technical Excellence Scholarship.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the policies. Any questions or comments on those? Those are basically required by PPI, so we're just passing those to appease them.
And this is our second reading.
Second reading, second and final reading. Other questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passed unanimously. Approval of transfer of attorney and legal papers and services to the Boardman and Clark Law Firm.
I sent you an email when I got this from Melly Law Offices, the law firm that the district has worked with since I came here and before. There were 2 school law people who worked there who have done work for us through the years. Both of them have left that company and moved over to Boardman and Clark, thusly leaving Melly Law with no attorneys with any school background, and that kind of concerned me. So I sent it out, is that we had to let them know, I suppose because when you quit one day, they only have so many days to take files with them. So if they wanted to take our files, we had to let them know. But you have to do it in action also to make it legal. So they have both switched over to Boardman and Clark, which is a large firm in Madison, has a lot of school attorney specialties people. And again, the cost is no difference because I guess at Boardman and Clark, it's up to the attorney. And so both attorneys have said that they would not be raising their fees, but we have to approve this move. Otherwise, we stay with Melly Law, who has no school attorneys anymore.
We have a motion, please.
I move the board approve the transfer of attorney and legal papers and services to the Boardman and Clark Law Firm of Madison, Wisconsin.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the transfer of attorney and legal papers. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Roll call, please.
Dawn Delaney.
Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas. Richard Mason.
Aye, and that passed unanimously. Approval of resolution authorizing issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of general obligation refunding bonds.
Now, these are the same things that you've seen before, the same thing we went through in October. Because you just did it in October, I didn't invite Mr. Brewer, who was at another school board meeting tonight. He has asked that you put in there at 2% minimum. Right now, it's at 3 point, whatever it was today, 3.4 last Friday. The savings on this for 13 years would be about $200,000, and then would lock in the rate from now until then. And this would be the last time that you can go back and do it, because you can only do that one time in the life of a public bond. So this would be the last one unless things go really south and the elementary bonds could come in cheaper, but I don't know how they could do much better than the, 1.9 and 2.1 that we have. But you have to pass this resolution. You have a copy of it. The whole thing is like 51 pages. I'm very happy to let somebody read that whole thing if they want to.
There you go.
But it will go in the minutes, all 51 pages will go in the minutes.
Could I have a motion, please, and we'll discuss it?
I move the board approve a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $6 million in general obligation refunding bonds. The present value debt service savings achieved by the refunding shall be at least 2% of the principal amount refunded. The entire resolution will be a part of the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resolution for borrowing. Questions, comments?
Yeah, very, very simply, what is the difference in interest rates that we might be looking at?
I mean, by what we have and
What we have and what potentially we could.
I think what we have is close to 4.1 because that's what the second one is. And right now it's looking to be 2 point something.
Well, when the projection or when the illustration was run, the interest rate on that date, which was...
Week ago Friday.
Week ago Friday was 2.34%. And for the securities that are currently callable, they range from 3.5% to 4.25%.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, by doing this, we save the taxpayers at least $200,000.
At least.
If not
yeah.
more.
If not more.
If not more. Dennis, did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. It's
And-
important.
In essence, we're refinancing the middle school, right?
Yeah, you would do the second
That's-
part of
Right.
that.
That's right.
Yep.
And that's important for the general public to know.
No, yeah, that won't, you know,
Yeah, and again, the parameters resolution just provides the school board president and the school board clerk the authority to act upon if that opportunity were to present itself.
right.
And in all likelihood, that would happen, so, just like we experienced last fall.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Aye, and that's passed unanimously. Approval of professional staff resignation.
I have a letter here. It reads, I am writing this letter to formally inform you of my resignation from the Lake Mills Area School District, effective at the end of the 2014-15 school year. My husband has received a promotion from his company and has moved to the Rhinelander area to begin his new position. My plan is to finish the school year and then move the rest of our family up there to join him. These last 8 years at LMASD has been wonderful for me. I feel lucky to have worked for such a caring staff who encouraged me to become a better educator, mentor, and person. I will miss you all. Over these next few months, I will be very busy finishing up the school year and getting our family ready to move. However, I plan to provide as much assistance as possible in the interviewing process and training of my replacement before my departure. Again, please let me know if I can be of any help. Thank you, Elizabeth Sparks. Elizabeth is the K-4 music specialist at the elementary school.
I move the board approve the resignation of Miss Elizabeth Sparks as the elementary music instructor and thank her for her dedication to the students, staff, school district, and community of Lake Mills.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the resignation of Ms. Marks. Any questions?
Ms.
Yes.
Sparks will have an exit interview, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Donna Thomas.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Bob D'Imperio.
Aye.
Aye, and that passed unanimously. Approval of paraprofessional contracts.
This month, we have 3 positions. One is the replacing of a resignation that we had in the past. One is the additional person to help out with the speech and language program, and another is to, again, a replacement of someone who is already there. So we are recommending Ms. Cindy Hoppy, Ms. Tammy Lambert, and Ms. Bonnie Pavlich. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. And I know that there are write-ups on all 3 of them in your district, or in your packet in your district, yeah.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve a full-time paraeducator contract to Ms. Cindy Hoppy, a full-time paraeducator contract to Ms. Tammy Lambert, and a .5 FTE contract to Miss Bonnie Pavlovich for the remainder of the 2014-15 school year.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the paraeducator contracts. Comments? Questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ron Delaney,
Aye.
Rob Imperial,
Aye.
Donna Thomas,
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of contract with Presence Learning for speech therapy services.
I think Ms. Seabrode has spoken to this, and again, if you would ask, you would want her to come to the mic again, you could do that, because she's done more of the research on this. Again, it's not the same as having somebody in the room, but the having a person on the other end that you're talking back and forth, it's not a formalized program, is a big deal. Again, we do have someone who's trying to re-get their license, who will be working 3 mornings a week with us, and we continue to look for this position. So at this point in time, we wanted to do something to get the students back into speech and working on needs that they may have.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve a contract with Presence Learning of San Francisco, California for speech therapy services for the remainder of the 2014-15 school year at a rate of $900 per student.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments?
I do. I'm very skeptical about this, but I want you to know I also know things are changing. So it's worth us to try this.
Well, I can assure you my grandson is in speech and language, which I'm sure nobody wants to know, but he was really excited about it.
Well, that's good.
And I'm hearing the same thing from other students, too.
Yeah, I hope it works, and things are changing, and we have to
Well,
try
hopefully
new
it's
things.
a temporary measure.
Yeah, but it might not, it might be a temporary measure, we say, but it may be the wave of the future, too, and
Maybe.
become more permanent. You know, not necessarily for us, but generally in
Maybe.
education. I don't know.
Any other questions for Ms. Severud?
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Rob Imperial,
Aye.
Donna Thomas,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of Phase 1 strategic planning outcomes.
You have in front of you the work of the community group that worked on the Phase 1 strategic planning that you had asked them to do. We've been working with Dr. Joe Schrader, the Associate Executive Director for the Association for Wisconsin School Administrators. These are things that they came up with. The district mission, the district vision, and mission statement would replace what we have now and would read, preparing all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. And the vision, a community passionate about inspiring all learners. It was very important to that group that we said community and not just a school district. There was a lot of discussion around things such as arts and all of that, how the entire community buys into those types of things, that the entire community has bought into the schools and things like that. And then there were belief statements. These were, I don't know, maybe 40 of them to start with, and we're narrowed down to what you have. If there are some on there that you would like struck, that's, your opportunity to do that tonight. Otherwise, I guess they're asking you to, if you would want to approve them, and again, you don't have to. I mean, if you like what we have and we don't like what came out of this Phase 1, you have every right to say, no, this is not the way we want to go, or we want to see Phase 2 be finished before we do this. They, meaning the person who's helping us facilitate the strategic planning, said that it always helps when you finalize Phase 2 if they know Phase 1's work has been finished.
Motion, please.
I'll move the board approve the new mission and vision statements for the district, which also incorporates the belief statements developed by the Phase 1 Strategic Planning Group.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve mission, vision, and belief statements. Whoa. All right. Discussion, questions, comments on those?
Okay, from comments at our last meeting, I understood that the outcomes, how do we measure what we've done in these areas, that will be discussed in Phase 2? That, am I
I think,
correct?
and Donna can help you, because she's on the Phase 2 group. But what Phase 2 is doing is more of the what's and the how's, that you would get to the vision and the mission. So yeah, they're doing more of the what would we do to get there, how will we do that to get there, and those recommendations would also then come to you later on. Am I saying that pretty close, Donna?
Yeah, this phase, this fellow that's leading us keeps always going back to how you're going to measure it. You know, when you say something, that's kind of what you're asking.
Correct.
And when you start with a mission, you know, it's pretty general and global. A vision is pretty global, kind of hard to nail down with measurement. But now this committee I'm working on, every time we kind of say something, he says, well, now tell me how we're going to measure this. So he's kind of pushing too, because you're right. It just keeps going down to something that's more measurable. And is there another committee after this committee, Dean? This is the end? Oh.
How many on the committee?
This one we have
About
about 20.
20?
If they come, not a
Yeah.
lot of people always come. That's the only issue, in my opinion, is that the committee is rather small. It's, if you saw it on paper, it looks big, but when we pass it, it becomes something for a whole community. You know what I'm saying?
But it's hard for, when you ask for
Yeah.
volunteers, that
To get
to
enough.
get first people to say they're gonna give up 4 nights to do something like this, that's difficult.
Don, you have a question?
Nope. Looks good.
Okay, roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of coaches' education requirements.
Last month, you were given a sheet that Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Strike, and I kind of worked on, along with some input from different coaches. One of the concerns that we've heard for a long time is, you know, how much do our coaches, especially volunteers, but even sometimes teachers, how many classes have they taken, how much background do they have? And so what we'd like to do is to make these classes and a mandatory CPR, first aid, and AED training for all coaches, and then some courses that they would need to take along the way within the first 2 years. I would tell you that the WIA is now going to pass a constitutional amendment that says all coaches must have CPR and AED. I just think we're going another step farther with first aid. And the last I heard in one of the bulletins from the legislature is they're thinking the same thing. We're trying to get ahead of, like Wisconsin did with the concussions. They got ahead of the game. What we're trying to do is to get ahead of the game again. And I guess to set up a portfolio for a background for a coach that, A, they can, you know, show that they've went through this. B, it hopes that it makes them a better coach. And C, if they ever leave us, they can take that with them, you know, as they look for other jobs. But we can't ask them to do this if it's not something that you would approve. And then this would be put in the coach's handbook, which is also in revision right now.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve the coaches' education requirements for all district coaches to begin in the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
Move and seconded to approve the coaches' education requirement. Comments?
Who will
Questions?
do the record keeping?
Each time you take one of those, there's a certificate that's printed.
In the district?
The AD would.
That'll be Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
We'll keep
He
it
and
on
his,
it.
he and the lady who helps him in the office.
Okay. Because there's a fair amount of record keeping here.
Yes, there is. But I think
Especially
it's
how
important.
coaches changed.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Any other questions?
And most of these courses, oh, I'm sorry, but most of these courses are being upgraded right now also. So they're more to the, you know, they're all like 2 and 3 years old, and they're all being updated as we speak, so.
And we've asked for this in previous.
Yeah. Is CPR a year to year? Or first
Yes.
aid is 2 years? Or is
Yes.
CPR 2 years too?
No, CPR is every year.
How about AED training? Is that a year to year?
2.
That goes along with CPR training.
Yeah, you can
So
do that all in
There
one.
is a fair amount of record keeping
Yes.
to keep up with
There is.
telling people.
Would we consider offering any incentives for coaches to take these extra ones, the ones that are not required? I mean, at this point, it's just kind of if they volunteer, if they want to. It looks like we're picking up the cost for some of them.
The only reason it has dollars behind them, because the other ones are free.
Right. So, I mean, that'd be part of our incentive is we're actually paying for it.
But we're asking them in the first, let's say, year 1, we're asking them to take the test on their sport. They have to take the other ones underneath that.
They have to.
Yes, that's part of this deal is they will have a
So they,
portfolio of all these by the time they're done.
so what if they don't?
Then we would come here and ask you to not issue them a coaching contract in the 3rd year.
So this has to be completed within the first 3 years?
Yeah, first two years. You know, there's a policy out there that if you're a volunteer coach, you have to take a test. It's called ASEP. You have 2 years to finish that. If you don't, you can no longer coach. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're just asking them to take these things and,
I didn't realize that these were going to be required. No,
Right.
that's fine. And so this would be assistant coaches, as well as volunteers, or
yes.
just paid
yes.
coaches?
No, all the way down.
Okay.
I think there's some things in there like concussions and heat illness and modeling behavior, sportsmanship, nutrition, working with parents, safe and respectful environment. And you know, like the ones in number 2, the 2nd year, they're about 45 to an hour long. So it's not like we're asking them to spend, you know, 30 hours in those. The ones in the first one are a little longer.
Do we have any CPR or first aid trainers on staff?
Yes.
Okay. Or I'm assuming this contract we're going to do about sports medicine, they probably have people that they could send to do this
Yes,
training too.
also, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of professional staff contract.
What you're approving is a contract for the young lady Katie Burton to finish out the school year for the person who was called up to active service. Being that we know that that person will be gone the rest of the year, I just didn't feel comfortable in going 6 months or with a long-term sub. I'm not sure that's fair to Katie. So we're asking you to give her a teaching contract. She will have to be laid off because we don't know when the other teacher will be back. And then if it's next year and someone else, then it will have to be a long-term contract, substitute contract, because the other person will be coming back from the military sometime during next year.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve a professional staff contract to Ms. Katie Burton for the remainder of the 2014-15 school year.
Second.
One and second to approve professional contract for Ms. Burden. Comments? Questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Approval of contract for sports medicine services.
As you can see in your packet, and I laid in front of you tonight an updated contract from one of the 2 people who we're dealing with. When I wrote your motion, we had not received the updated contract from Ford Healthcare with the School District of Lake Mills. We currently contract with Ford Healthcare. And the Watertown Health came and saw us. We did not seek out anybody or feel that we were not getting good services. But they came to us, and upon reading their contract, we saw that there was a lot of other things that we could be getting. And then, we've went back and forth, but as you'll see in the one that you got from Fort tonight, the cost for either one is the same. It's $2,000 a year. You will see that in the Watertown one, they do offer 2 more sports, one in the fall and one in the spring. They are here 2.5 hours a day versus 2 in the Fort contract. But if you need additional coverage, then Fort is $26 an hour, Watertown is $30. They both do things like skin fold and concussion testing, so that's pretty equal. So my feeling is I'm going to still say that, the Watertown one with the extra added incentives in there is the one that I would recommend, but if you go back with Fort or stick with them, and it's not going to be anything that's going to make us all feel real bad, but we are asking to up to 5 days a week. As of now, we only have a couple of days a week. One of the things that Watertown did say is they would also make visits to the middle school. And we didn't really ask Fort to do that yet. I think if we did, they would do the same thing. I guess the thing that when Watertown came to see us and talked about we could have an athletic trainer hired specifically for Lake Mills, that was kind of the key to us to think about this, because we had that with Fort Health in the past. When that lady retired, we did not have that this year. I do know that we had one week with 3 events at home and had 3 different trainers, one of which didn't know the kids at all. And I think that, the representatives from one of the organizations, that's the conversations we've had. So I'm not saying anything I didn't say to them. So again, I'm going to recommend that we go to Watertown. It is a 3-year proposal that they are giving us. So it's not one and done, or, the concern of are they bought out by a for-profit and it goes away. The contract is for 3 years.
Motion, please.
I move the board approve a contract with the Watertown Regional Medical Center for athletic training services for the next 3 school years at a cost of $2,000 per year.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve a contract with Watertown Medical Center for athletic training. Any comments, questions?
I do. Dino, are the UW or the Watertown Regional Medical Center is affiliated with UW hospitals, is that correct? UW Health Center?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure in the training services if they are or not.
Or if it's a separate service?
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know.
it isn't associated with that part. 'Cause we have a fair amount of students that go to if they have issues, they go to UW Sports
Yeah,
Medicine.
we have some going both ways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where their insurance is.
Other
right, and that's
questions?
the driving force.
Other questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. And finally, approval of co-curricular contracts.
You have in your packet write-ups for 4 people. Mr. Joe Clothier, who is at the present time the head wrestling coach, FIA teacher, to do the boys track. Miss Amy Reckham, who teaches 8th grade English, is the head girls track. Amanda Piersick, who is a staff member as an associate track and field. And then the 6th grade position in volleyball, the person that had that in the past left this past year. And so Roseanne Punzel is asked to do that, or volunteered, or interviewed, however you want to put it.
All right, motion, please.
I move the board approve the following co-curricular contracts for the 2014 school year. Mr. Joe Clothier, head boys track coach. Ms. Amy Rekub, head girls track coach. Ms. Amanda Persicki, assistant track and field coach. Ms. Roseanne Punzel, 6th grade volleyball coach.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the co-curricular contracts. Questions?
I could ask one. This is probably an unpopular question, but did we ever, I know we talked about it, look at our co-curricular salary schedule?
Yeah, I want to bring that next month to you.
Okay.
We finally gotten to the point where we can do that.
Yeah, like a year or so, or
Well,
maybe.
it's the
We've been-
Personnel Committee is.
Yeah, we've been
hasn't-
kind of hung up for
Yeah.
a couple years on this thing.
Met once.
Well, we met once early in the year, so.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye, that passes unanimously. March board agenda items.
Yeah, if you're going to look at purchasing a bus, that's usually the month that we do it. And I do have some bids already for that. And we're putting together the list of all the current buses and repairs and mileage and all of that type of thing. The co-curricular thing that Dr. Thomas just talked about, I wanted to bring that next month. Policy Committee did meet the other day and we'll be meeting again. So there may be some policies that we're bringing forward to get back into the rotation of the 300s. Other than that, March is not, in the old days, it used to be your layoff date and contract date, and again, that's later on now, so.
The bids for the
Thank you.
remodeling?
Anything else?
I have
Yes.
a question. I was wondering that in the beginning, when we had the community input and report, we had a PTO report from the elementary school. I was wondering if that could be in writing, even if it's just, so it could get put into the minutes?
I think usually you have it in writing. I know one month.
You
Why
did?
don't you
Yeah,
just
or-
email it to me and I'll get it into the minutes,
Then
if
we
you
can get it right in the, get it right to the minutes, because
Yeah,
it's
that'd be-
pretty hard to keep track of when you kind of make you have a long
you
list
all right
of
with
things
that?
you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?